friends, it's Lisa and welcome to a new weekly reading vlog. So at this point, when I'm filming, there are like 2 weeks left of October. There's 2 weeks left of the Trick or Treat-a-thon, and I definitely want to do a lot of reading in these next coming weeks. There were so many things that I wanted to read this month, and I feel like I'm still going to try and fit in as much of that as possible in these next 2 weeks. So that means we gotta get serious, we gotta get some reading done. So as for the current reads, what I'm gonna be starting this week off reading, I am currently making my way through The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I'm on chapter 9, which is page 77. So I feel like I'm still pretty early on, but I think I can kind of give a synopsis of the book. So we're following Florence, who is actually the ghostwriter for a very popular romance author, but because of certain events in her life, she's been having a really hard time writing about romance and writing these romance novels and believing in happily ever afters. So she goes to her new editor, she meets him for the first time, and she wants to ask for an extension on the draft that she has to turn in because she just is having a hard time like wrapping up this book that she's currently writing, and he doesn't give it to her. He doesn't give her the extension. So she's already having a pretty rough time with that, but then she ends up getting a call that her father has actually passed away, and her family owns a funeral parlor. So she goes back home, goes to the funeral parlor, goes to, organize the funeral for her father, and while she's there, she ends up seeing the ghost of her editor, because that's a thing that she can do. She can see ghosts, and so now her editor is a ghost. But that's really all I know so far, because that's really where I've read up to, and that's all that's in the synopsis. So at this point going forward, I'm gonna be seeing where just like the story goes. I don't know what's coming next, so I'm really excited to keep reading this. So far, it's already made me emotional. I think obviously just like reading about someone losing their father, I think books about grief and loss are just very difficult for me to read, and so it's not the fun, spooky vibes that I was hoping for, but I feel like the rest of the book might be a little bit more lighthearted and fun. I feel like when the romance actually starts, it'll be a little bit more lighthearted, so I'm hoping that that's the case, because I already was crying reading this book last night just because of the subject matter. So yeah, I don't know if like you're someone that's struggling with a loss or with grief. I don't know if this is necessarily the best book for you to read, at least at the moment, but I'm very excited to see where it goes and how this romance really happens, because the editor is a ghost. So is it a romance with the ghost? I don't know. I don't understand how it's going to wrap up. So I'm excited to keep going. I'm excited to see how I feel about it. I hope I enjoy it. So that is what I'm currently physically reading, but for my audiobook, I did finally start the audiobook for The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. I talked about it all last week and didn't start it, but I did start it yesterday, and I believe I'm almost like halfway through the audiobook now. Yeah, I'm 46% of the way through, so I'm almost halfway. So this is like a sequel companion to The Ex-Hex, and we're following Gwyn and Wells, and Gwyn's cousin is Vivi, who is the main character from the first book, and Wells is actually the older brother to Reese, who is the other main character in The Ex-Hex. So Gwyn and like her mom and Vivi kind of run this like witch magical shop. They're all witches, but like what they sell isn't magical or witchy or anything. But the three of them run this shop, and Wells ends up moving to the town that they all live in, and he ends up opening his own magical witchy shop across the street basically from Gwyn's shop, and the two of them kind of have this competition because of that. But the two of them kind of have to come together and work together when some other witches come to the town and are trying to mess with and take control over the magic. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at actually in the story. I'm almost halfway through, and I feel like the other witches and that kind of plot is about to be starting to get introduced. So I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm having a good time. I feel like with the Ex-Hex and this book, I don't really have a lot to say. They're just kind of cute and fun reads. I think I was also saying when I finished the Ex-Hex, like whether the books are Erin Sterling or Rachel Hawkins, because they're the same person, I enjoy her books. I have a good time, but they're nothing that I'm ever like really obsessed with, but they're still like fun, lighthearted reads. So I'm enjoying my time listening to it. I like Gwyn as a character. I liked her in the first book. I thought she was really funny. So I'm enjoying getting her perspective and seeing more of her in this book. And Wells is just like very grumpy, and so naturally love him for that. So yeah, it's fun. I'm having a good time, and I feel like that's really the extent of my thoughts on that. But I'm hoping that I can finish that maybe today. I read almost half of it all yesterday, and I do have some things that I need to do kind of throughout the week this week. So I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of audiobook listening time. So when I finish that, I think I'm gonna pick up Gilded by Marissa Meyer. I'm gonna reread that on audio. But yeah, I'm going to film my November bullet journal setup at some point this week. And also I need to work on a painting. I was asked to do a painting as a gift for somebody. So I need to start working on that because I need to have it done by next week. So I definitely have a lot of opportunities this week to do a lot of audiobook listening. So I hope that I can get through the audiobooks that I need to. But yeah, like I was saying, there's like 2 weeks left of the month and of this readathon. So I have 4 of the 9 prompts for the Trick or Treat-a-thon done. So definitely gonna need to do a lot of reading these next coming weeks so I can get the 5 other prompts done because I really want to complete all of them and read like different books for each. I don't want to double up on any. I feel like I would probably have most of them done if I was doubling up, but I'm gonna try and read 9 different books for each prompt. And so that means I need to do a lot of reading in this week and next week because we're running out of time. But very excited for spooky season. I've definitely started to watch a lot more Halloween movies. I watched Halloween Town 2 last night. So I think that's going to be the plan for this week. More reading, more Halloween movie watching, and we'll see how much I can actually read. Hopefully I can get through a lot of my TBR this week. Once again, gonna chat with you all while I do my makeup. Once again, don't know if this is a good idea because I feel like I never make sense, but we're doing it anyway. But I just wanted to quickly update because I did finish listening to The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling literally like 20 minutes ago. I haven't even rated it or anything on Goodreads or Storygraph, but I did quickly like put it into Compile just to see like what my rating came out as. And surprise, surprise, it came out as a 3.5, which is exactly what I gave the first book, The XX, and also the same author's YA books all came out as 3.5 stars. So pretty consistent there, I guess, with my ratings for this author. It was fun. It was cute, which is exactly what I say about all these authors' books. But I had a good time. Both of these books are very cute and very fun. I feel like both The XX and The Kiss Curse give me like Halloween Town vibes just for adults. And you're probably thinking like, then Lisa, why don't you love these books? Because you love Halloween Town. And you make several points. I think Halloween Town is just like nostalgia for me and very sentimental. And I grew up watching it. And I think anything that makes me nostalgic for my childhood will have me in a chokehold. So Halloween Town does have that advantage. But these books do give a kind of similar vibes. I think just like the small town that is like really into Halloween and the witches that live there and the very like lighthearted, silly like plots of these books and the romance and the characters. I definitely see a lot of similarities to Halloween Town, but these definitely have like more spice and like adult themes, of course. They're a little bit more mature, but they're really fun and lighthearted reads. So yeah, I had a good time reading this. I think I preferred Gwen and Wells actually to Reese and Vivian as main characters. I just liked their like dynamic a little bit more and their romance a little bit more. And I definitely feel like there could be more books in this series. I feel like Reese, the main character from the first book, has 2 older brothers, and in this book we're following one of them who's Wells, and I just feel like there could definitely be a 3rd book in this series that follows the other brother. And I feel like if there is a 3rd book in this series, I would be interested in reading it, even though I don't like necessarily love both the XX and the Kiss Curse. I still like had a good time with both of them, that I think I would enjoy reading a 3rd book. And who knows, maybe I'll love the 3rd one. So yeah, if there does end up being a 3rd book, I don't know if that's like confirmed anywhere. I don't know if that's something that's been discussed. It just feels like that's definitely like there's definitely potential for a 3rd book, so if anyone knows, let me know, because I definitely will read it. But yeah, just like very fun books, and that's really it. Like I really don't have that much to say, because I just don't really have many thoughts on them other than they're fun. But I actually think I may count this for a prompt for the Trick or Treat-a-thon. I was going to count Gilded for the Halloween prompt, which is to read a book that gives you autumnal vibes, but I might do this one instead, because this one like is definitely more like Halloween autumnal because of like the witches and everything like that, like the magic in the book. I definitely feel like this book gives more like spooky Halloween vibes than Gilded, so I feel like I might count this for that prompt instead. So yeah, then that's another prompt done. I have completed the 5th prompt for the Trick or Treat-a-thon, so very happy about that. But I probably will start the audiobook for Gilded next, and I probably won't end up counting that for anything for the readathon, but I definitely want to give the audiobook a listen before the sequel comes out, so I want to read it anyway. And I'm like relatively confident that I can complete the last 4 prompts, not including Gilded, before the end of the month, but we'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to update on the fact that I finished The Kiss Curse, and I'm counting it for the readathon, give it 3.5 stars, and that's really it. Just a fun, silly, goofy Halloween rom-com kind of vibe. So happy I finished that. And now I'm going to head out. I'm actually having dinner with my family and my Nana, and I'm very excited for that. My Nana got a kitten, so I'm very excited to see the little guy again. I saw him on, was that Saturday? And oh my god, so small. So cute. So I'm excited to cuddle a kitten as well. And then when I get home, I'll probably do some reading of The Dead Romantics because I definitely want to get a bit farther into that book. So I'll probably pick that up when I get home, but very excited to see, well, my family too, but also a kitten. Swift shirt on. I'm ready for midnights. Actually, I'm not. I'm not mentally prepared at all. I don't think I have like fully processed that we're getting a new Taylor Swift album tonight. I don't even think I've mentioned it in this vlog yet. That's how unprepared I am. I think because the past like couple of albums that she's released have been re-recordings that I don't think I have like fully processed the fact that like we're getting a new Taylor Swift album and it's new songs you've never heard before. I'm not prepared. But of course I'm staying up until midnight to listen, and I will record my reactions and we'll discuss all about it tomorrow, all my thoughts, the favorite songs, all of that. But I'm very stressed. Very excited, but very stressed. She's also like doing at like 3 a.m. a very chaotic surprise. Not sure what that means. I feel like because it is specifically labeled as a very chaotic surprise, that it can't just be like something normal. Like I feel like we've all like been speculating that she's doing a tour. Like I feel like her announcing a tour, it would cause me to be chaotic, but I don't think it's a chaotic surprise. Like I think we all are kind of expecting that. I don't know. I've seen a lot of theories that it could be like a double album, like Midnight's what we've seen of like the track list isn't it. Like there's gonna be as like a B-side to the album, which I don't know if that happens. I'm not gonna be okay. I've also seen a good theory that she may release or like announce the next re-recording, and I've seen a lot of like speculation that it might be her debut album, so I have no idea, but she's doing it at 3 a.m. I'm going to be asleep. I'm like, do I set an alarm? Do I just stay up until 3 a.m.? What does a chaotic surprise even mean? How chaotic? This girlie has me stressed, but I'm really excited. I don't know. I feel like it's all like hitting me today that we're getting a new Taylor Swift album. Like it hasn't hit me at all since she announced it, and now I feel like today everything is hitting me. So I'm just very excited. Probably gonna cry a lot. My period just started, so perfect timing for a Taylor Swift album. But yeah, other than Taylor Swift, I wanted to check in, talk about what I've read so far. I also, yesterday, I watched a slasher, y'all. I did it. I completed that bonus prompt on our little bonus bingo board, and I did it in honor of the trick-or-treat-a-thon because it is a slasher theme, and I watched Halloween because it was on, and I was like, perfect, I'll just have it on while I beep boop, you know? And that's a technical term. When you're on your computer, you're beep booping. But I had a good time. It definitely wasn't as scary as like I thought it was gonna be. I didn't think it was gonna be super scary, but I don't know. I was curious to see like when I went to sleep last night if I was gonna get scared, because that's like when I realized how scared I was by something if I'm kind of spooked trying to fall asleep. And I think last night I completely forgot I even watched it. So definitely didn't spook me. And I also realized like as I was watching it that I had seen, I think, most of that movie before. I had never seen like the very beginning, and I don't know if I've ever seen the ending, but I've seen like a big portion of the middle, like when the action's happening, when things are happening. I've seen all that. So that was kind of a surprise because I kind of knew what was going to happen, but I enjoyed it. I don't know. It was a fun, spooky, silly, goofy time. But yeah, I think we all should be proud of me for watching a slasher, watching a more scary movie instead of Hocus Pocus for the millionth time this year. But yeah, that completed a prompt on our other bingo board that's just like extra bonus fun things to do. I haven't even really looked at that and seen if I've done anything, so I probably should do that. But mostly I just wanted to watch like at least a slasher at some point this month, just because the whole theme of this readathon is slashers, and I just felt like I had to do it. So very happy I did that. But I also have been doing some reading. I have been making some progress in The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I'm now on chapter 16, which is page 142. So I haven't read a ton. I honestly haven't been doing that much reading this week, so I'm hoping this weekend I can kind of fix that. I would like to finish this by the end of this vlog. Okay, sorry for the quality and angle change. I'm recording this on my phone because my camera battery died and my other camera batteries are completely useless. They only stay charged long enough for me to record for like 30 seconds. So I didn't want to wait for my camera battery to charge to film my update on the Dead Romantics, so here we go. Not that like anyone cares. I feel like whenever anyone else apologizes for filming on their phone, I'm like, I don't care. So I don't know why I feel the need to apologize. But anyway, the Dead Romantics. So like I was saying, I'm on chapter 16, which is page 142. So I've definitely made a bit of progress, but I haven't read a ton the past few days. So far, my thoughts. I think I've talked about what this book is about. Florence, her dad passes, she goes back home. Turns out the editor of her books that she ghost writes, he shows up as a ghost, so now he's dead as well, and she kind of has to figure out why he's here and like what his unfinished business is that's keeping him here. Also while dealing with the loss of her father and dealing with figuring out his funeral arrangements and all of that. And to be honest, I don't know how I'm feeling about this book. I'm not disliking it. I like the characters. There have been some funny moments and the writing is fine. I think I was expecting this book, even though it very clearly is dealing with a lot of like more sad, heavier themes and discussions, and grief and loss is very like prevalent in this book. I think I was expecting it to lean more so on the like rom-com silly vibes than the sad vibes. I feel like this book is definitely focusing more on the loss of her father and the grief that she's feeling and just kind of the overall like sad things a lot more than I was expecting it to. And I know I shouldn't have been surprised that this book is sad. Like obviously it was going to be, and I expected it to still be sad. I just don't think I was expecting it to focus so much on the sad things. Like I have cried a couple of times reading this book, and I think also like it definitely is more like of a personal thing too, like the discussion of grief and her like discussing her father being gone and all of the things that she can't do and say to him anymore, and just like a lot of that stuff is just very like emotional to read for me personally. And I think that that's just like, I don't know, I think if you've been someone that has experienced a loss, and I think that that's the type of stuff that you kind of can relate to. So yeah, I don't know, that's probably like a more personal thing, and also it's like on me for having certain expectations about this book before going into it. But I feel like where I'm at now, like her and the ghost editor, his name is Benji, I think, but they're calling him Ben, but they're like starting to communicate more. They're starting to have this like banter between them, and I think she's gonna help him like figure out his unfinished business that's like keeping him here as a ghost. So I think the more like funny rom-com kind of vibes are gonna be starting to happen a little bit more at this point. But yeah, it's so funny because I feel like whenever I've been talking about this book, I've been like, yeah, it's like gonna be the perfect romance to read around this time of year. It's gonna be so fun. And then I've spent the first like 150 pages crying on and off. So I don't know. It's definitely not as fun as I was expecting it to be. Not that it isn't having fun and funny moments, and it has made me laugh, and I feel like the farther we get into it, it is going to have more of those moments, but it's a lot more sad than I was expecting, which is definitely on me. So I think this is the type of book that I'm going to have to like kind of finish and see the way everything has kind of played out, and see how the tone has worked throughout the whole book and how that's affected the whole story, and be able to kind of reflect on it as a whole before I really know how I feel about it. So yeah, like I said, I am planning on finishing this before the end of this vlog so I can give you my thoughts. As of right now, it's just kind of sad, and I'm liking it, but it's just not what I was anticipating or what I was like mentally prepared for. And that's on me. I should have known that it was going to play a lot into the grief and the loss in that discussion. I just wasn't expecting it to be so much, so I don't know. So it's definitely more sad than fun, but it is still funny. So I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about like the balance of these things and if it's necessarily working for me, which is why I think I need to just get through the whole book and be able to like reflect on it at the end and see how it all plays out. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling about this so far. And I'm thinking this weekend that I will probably start listening to the Gilded audiobook. Obviously, I know already how I kind of feel about that because I've read it before, but like I said, I do need to do a painting, and I really need to, work on it this weekend. I'm going to have it done, I think, or try to have it done by the end of the weekend. So I'm going to spend a lot of time doing that. Probably will have some good audiobook listening time as well as midnights listening time. If I can stop listening to midnights long enough to start the Gilded audiobook, I will. So yeah, that's the haps. That's the haps with the reading, and I will probably do some more reading before. I'm gonna have to be up until midnight tonight to wait for the album, so probably we'll get in some reading time before that, and then I will see you at midnight when the new album comes out, and I will be sobbing. It's 11:59. I'm also being quiet because it's almost midnight. People are sleeping, but it's almost time for midnights. Not prepared. Not at all. I have a cat sleeping here for emotional support. Love your work. It's midnight. Oh, yep. And once again, Spotify is not working. Spotify literally always crashes. At least it's not just me. Casey's also saying it's not working. Oh, I think, did it load? No. Just give me help. Okay, it's working, I think. Oh God. Oh God. Am I prepared? No. Anyways, we're gonna play it anyway. Oh, what's going on? This is giving Reputation vibes. No, no, no. The vocals? No.
Always rooting for the anti-hero. Monster on the hill kills me for the money. She thinks she's laughing up at us from hell. Everybody agrees. Hi, on the problem, it's me. I'll stare directly at the sun.
What does she want from me? It's giving Christmas.
Beautiful, flying in a tree.
Ooh.
I've never seen someone live from within. You're on your own, kid. You always have been. Parties and starve my body like I'd be saved by a perfect kiss. The jokes were funny. I took the money. My friends from home don't know what to say. I looked around and I looked so down and I saw something they can't take off. 'Cause there were pages turned with the brain. He wanted it comfortable. I wanted that.
I literally thought this was an ad. What is this?
One thing going on, I swear that it was a crowded room. And everything is just a question of eyes, bad strike. And what's that I heard? Draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man. Lately I've been dressing for revenge. You need a cold hard proof, so thick as thieves with your ex-wife. And she looks so pretty and crossing all of mine. Best believe I'm still bejeweled when I walk in the room. I station my and when I meet the band, they ask who you. Hurts this much right now. If they breathe out, but you're relevant. You're verified.
Did you just say karma is a cat? What's going on? She did.
Karma is the guy on the screen coming straight
time. Why am I crying already? Oh my god, it's the last song already. I'm not ready. I don't want it to be over. Also, I didn't get an ad this whole time, and I don't pay for Spotify. That's Taylor's power. Okay, I guess it's time for Mastermind. We love Stranger Things.
What if I told you none of it? Night that you saw me, nothing was gonna stop me. I wanted to play with me as a little kid. So you knew that I'm a mastermind.
I feel like that went by so fast. All right, let's just get right into it. Let's discuss Midnights by Taylor Swift. I'm not even gonna pretend like we're here to talk about anything else. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed. There's not a single thought other than screaming coming into this brain right now. Like, that's it. I don't know. I am so impressed with people who already have like their rankings and have like their top few songs figured out, because I have no clue. And also the 3 a.m. chaotic surprise was that she dropped like more songs, and there were 7 like more extra bonus deluxe songs that she released. And it's like, I know that that's what we predicted was gonna happen, but it still somehow shocked me. But I feel like that definitely made the most sense. I feel like if she was announcing like a tour or like announcement of a re-recording or something, like that would not have been chaotic enough. Like, that didn't make sense. The only thing that I was maybe thinking it could have been that wasn't more songs off of Midnights was that she was gonna randomly drop the Evermore Long Pond Studios documentary thing, the thing she did for Folklore but then didn't do for Evermore, and we're all convinced that she's hiding it somewhere. That's what I thought it could have been, because that would have been chaotic. But extra songs off of Midnights is, I think, the best outcome. I mean, not that I don't want the Evermore Long Pond Studios movie, because I do. But yeah, Midnights. Loving it so much. She's so powerful. I don't understand how she does it every time, every album. So good. It's so interesting because the whole time I was listening to that album, I even said it when I was like reacting to it, was that there were a lot of songs that reminded me of Reputation, but also 1989 and Lover. Like, somehow she took the influences of all of her pop albums, put it into one, and then created Midnights, which is still somehow so unique and different, but also has those influences. I don't understand how she does this. I don't get it. It has been interesting seeing some of the reactions to this album, because it is pretty different from, you know, Folklore and Evermore, which was her last albums, but I think that's what she does. She likes to switch it up. She is always changing, like, the sound of her albums. I don't think that this is, like, completely a random thing for her. Like, this is just what she does. And it makes it interesting, because you never quite know what you're gonna get from her. Like, if all of her albums were the same and sounded the same, like, people would be calling her out for being unoriginal. So it's just, she can't really win, but I'm loving it. I'm having a good time. I feel like I need to maybe name some songs that have stood out to me. I don't know. Like, I'm still not sure which ones are my favorites. I really do not know. I will say, You're on Your Own, Kid. The first time I heard that, it really just hurt my feelings. And now, like, since listening to it last night and all of today while I've been listening, it's the one that just, like, it just hurts me. It's so good. Like, I haven't really stopped thinking about that song, so I definitely feel like that's one of my favorites. I just feel like after every single song, I was just like, oh, that's my new favorite. Oh, that's my new favorite. But I did really like Anti-Hero last night, and then the music video, I think, just like made me love it even more. It's been kind of stuck in my head when I haven't been listening to the album. Also, I really liked Question and Sweet Nothing. I really liked as well. And then for like the bonus 3 a.m. edition tracks, I really liked Paris and Would've, Could've, Should've. Obviously obsessed with that one. I wasn't prepared for that song. So I did wake up at like a little past 3 a.m. last night. I think it was like 3:07 or something. And I was like, oh, the 3 a.m. announcement. Checked my phone, saw that she released the bonus tracks, and went, oh my God, and then fell right back to sleep. And then when I woke up this morning, I was like, did I dream that she announced more songs, or did that really happen? Because like, I think last week I had a dream that she announced her tour, and that was actually a dream. Like, that didn't happen. So I can't even trust myself on whether I'm awake or not when things happen. So it did really happen. When I went on to like Twitter, I didn't want to look too much because I wanted to be able to just listen to the songs for the first time without seeing a ton of opinions. But I went on Twitter for a couple minutes, and then also like every text that I had from my friends was about Would've, Could've, Should've. And I was like, okay, what is this song? Like, what is it gonna be? I don't have words. It was just not what I was expecting. I feel like a certain man by the name of John Mayer was not expecting to be attacked on this album. I love the tweets that are like, John Mayer woke up at 3 a.m. in like a cold sweat and I had no idea why. But yeah, I don't know. Every song is like so good, and I'm excited to see which ones actually become my favorites, because I do feel like when an album is so new, I'm still just like taking it all in, and I feel like the first like listen or two of an album, I'm not even fully comprehending the lyrics of like what she's saying. So I'm interested to see what ends up being my favorites. Like, again, the people who have their rankings all figured out already, you are so impressive to me. I can't do that. But yeah, there definitely were some like standout tracks, I guess, on the first listen through, but honestly, it's so good. I love it. I feel like the more I listen to it, the more I'm like thinking about which songs are gonna be so good when she does go on tour. Like, some of these songs are gonna be so fun to scream at her concerts, so I better get tickets. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like my thoughts are all over the place because I still haven't processed it. Like, I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know what my favorites are. I have not a single thought. So we'll have to like circle back at the end of this vlog, and maybe like after a few days of listening to the album, I'll have some more like comprehensible thoughts as well as my favorite songs off of the album. But right now I just am running around screaming. That's all I'm doing. I will say I did try to do some reading before Midnights came out, but honestly, like, when there's a new Taylor Swift album coming out, all I can do is like scroll through Twitter and see everyone's like final theories and see the excitement. So I didn't do a ton of reading. I don't even have the books with me. I'm gonna go grab them. So I did read a couple of chapters of The Dead Romantics, but not a lot. I'm now on chapter 17, page 148. So I think I only read a couple chapters last night. I just could not focus on anything other than Taylor Swift. So I didn't really read a ton, but I'm hoping, like, obviously Midnights is going to take over my entire weekend, but I'm hoping I could still do some reading this weekend and get this done. I also did start reading Gleanings by Neil Shusterman. I'm completing this for the prompt where you have to read a book entirely at night. That prompt is for Nightmare on Elm Street, so I thought it would be kind of smart to maybe read a short story or two each night, and then I'll be able to get the book done and complete it for the prompt. But I read the first like short story, but it's actually a poem and it's only 3 pages long, so that's all I was able to read of this last night. So it looks like there's 13 short stories in this collection. So how many days are left of the month? Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, that's easy math. Hello. So there's 11 days left of the month. So if I read a short story every night and then double up a couple nights, I will have this done by the end of the month. I think that's a good plan. So yeah, I think that that's doable, reading basically a short story, sometimes 2 a night, and then I will be able to complete that prompt, complete this book, and I'm excited to read it. I'm interested to see what the short stories are about, because I do think this world is very interesting. It's very fascinating. I feel like a lot of the short stories could really add to the world. I'm excited to see if there's any that take place like after the events of the final book in the series, because I'd like to see a little bit more of that, I think. But also I think it'd be interesting to see stuff like before the events of the series. So I don't know, I'm excited to just see what this is all about. I hope I enjoy it. But yeah, I did officially start this. I think I said in last week's vlog that I was gonna start it, and then I completely forgot that I even said that, and then I didn't start it. So I'm actually starting it now. But yeah, that's it for this update. I tried to do some reading, but mainly Taylor Swift has taken over. But what's new? I feel like you all knew this was gonna happen. You came into this vlog knowing, oh yes, Taylor Swift release week. Lisa's not gonna have anything else to talk about other than Taylor Swift. Monday of the next week, so I wanted to give one final update before ending this vlog. So this weekend, definitely didn't do a lot of reading. I kind of had like a sad girl weekend this weekend. I was just not mentally like doing great. So I did a lot of things that just like make me happy or like could distract me from, you know, feeling sad. So I think I did mention in this vlog that I needed to work on a painting that I was asked to do for somebody. So I did that this weekend. I kind of worked on that, and while I was doing that, watched a lot of Halloween movies. So what did I watch this weekend? I know I watched Carrie actually on Friday, and I just feel like we should give a round of applause for me for like going out of my comfort zone because I watched two things, both Halloween and Carrie, that are just like not in my comfort zone at all. Like, I don't watch those types of movies. I'm more into the wholesome Halloween movies, so pat on the back for me. But I watched that. I really wanted to watch it because after reading The Weight of Blood, I wanted to see how that compared to the original Carrie story, and I'd only seen like bits and pieces of the original movie. So I wanted to watch that, saw that it was on, so I watched it. And I mean, it was good. I'm not here to review anything to do with horror because I know nothing about it. So I enjoyed it. I will say, like, the Carrie story is just very sad to me. Like, that movie just made me feel sad. I don't know. It didn't spook me really. It just made me feel sad. So that's kind of how I felt about it. And then on Saturday, I watched Twitches and Twitches 2, and then yesterday I watched The Nightmare Before Christmas and Halloween Town High, which is the third Halloween Town. I've watched the first two. I think like the first one is definitely the best one. I feel like they just get like worse as you continue on, and like the fourth one I haven't even seen since I was younger just because I reject that they replaced Marnie and thought we wouldn't notice. Like, sorry. Not good. Don't like it. So I haven't seen the fourth one since I was really young. I think probably like the year it came out and then maybe a couple years after that I watched it, but I didn't watch it very much. I don't even know what the plot of the fourth one is. It's been that long. So don't really love that one at all. But I definitely think like the third one out of the original three with the original Marnie, the third one is definitely like the worst one. It's not great, but it's still fun to watch. And so I decided to watch it because I've made it through most of the things I wanted to watch in October for Halloween. I think the last thing that I really want to make sure I watch is Over the Garden Wall, which is a TV show, but it's like, I think there's only like 8 or 10 episodes, like around there, and they're like 10 minutes long. So if you just watch them all in one night, it's basically like a movie. And I watched that last year for the first time and loved it. So would love to get to that again this year and rewatch it, but I've really made a good dent in my Halloween movie watching list. And when I wasn't watching movies, I was listening to Midnights. I have had it basically on repeat all weekend. It's so good. I feel like every time I listen to it, the more I love it. And then there's always like different songs that end up standing out to me on every time I listen. Like, I feel like my ranking has changed so much because I just don't know like every song. I love every single song. There definitely are some that I like more than others, but it's like when I've been trying to put my ranking together, I always look at some songs, I'm like, they're so low, but the songs have to go somewhere. Like, if you're making a list, they have to fall somewhere. So it's just, yeah. I think it's a good thing when there's so many songs that I want to put in like the top 5, but it's just not possible because there's more than 5 songs. But I think my favorite, I don't know if this is a bold statement to make so early on, but I think my favorite may be Labyrinth. Maybe, I don't know. I also really love You're on Your Own, Kid. I feel like it's probably one of those two that's my favorite. But also I think Maroon, Would've, Could've, Should've, and I think Karma, those are probably my top 5. Karma is a bop. I feel like some of her like more like lighthearted and catchy songs, people just like hate them because they're not all too well. It's like, she's allowed to write some fun, upbeat, not as serious songs, but I really like it. I think it's fun. I think it'll be so fun to sing live. I cannot wait to scream Karma is a cat purring in my lap because it loves me live. That will just be a moment. But I think I am going to try and figure out my like ranking as of right now. I'm sure it'll change. It's already changed like 50 times this weekend, so I'm sure it will continue to change. That tends to happen with Taylor albums. Like, I always have like favorites, and then everything else kind of just moves around constantly. It just always depends on what is standing out to me at that particular moment, and I always like everything, so it's just always on rotation. But I'm gonna try and figure out my ranking, and I'll put it on the screen and we can discuss. I'm sure everyone will have things to say and will want to argue with me, but that will be my ranking for right now. Also, if you've listened to Midnights, I'd love to know your top 3. If you have a top 3, if you can narrow it down, I'd love to hear what your favorites are. But anyway, books, that's a thing that we talk about here. So like I said, didn't do as much reading this weekend as I would have wanted to, but I did some. Like, I did do some reading this weekend. So with The Dead Romantics, I didn't finish it. I know I said that I was planning on finishing it this weekend, and that just didn't happen. But I'm on chapter 28, which is page 239. So I think I have like just over 100 pages left of this, so I'll definitely finish it at the beginning of next week. I mean, I kind of have to because October's almost over. We only have like 1 week left of October and of the trick-or-treat-a-thon, so definitely have to finish this next week. And as for some thoughts on this, I do feel like the farther we get in, the less sad it is. I feel like the more we see Florence and Ben like interact, and now that they're like, oh shoot, like he's dead, but I kind of like him. Like, now that that has kind of been introduced, it's definitely a lot more fun for me to read. I also think like the beginning of this week in my like personal life, I was reflecting a lot on a loss that I experienced. So because of like the certain timing of the beginning of this week, and so I think reading this book at the beginning of the week was just hitting me a lot harder than it may have in another circumstance. So I think that's why I just felt so sad reading this book at the beginning of the week. But as we've continued on, it's gotten a little less sad for me. And yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm nervous. I feel like just this whole concept, I don't understand how it can end and be happy, because it is a romance. So it's supposed to have that happily ever after, but I just don't understand how that's going to happen. So I'm a little nervous. That's going to be sad. I'm nervous that it's going to be like, I don't know if anyone's seen the Jack Frost movie with Michael Keaton, you know? That's a very sad Christmas movie, and I hate it so much because it just makes me sob, so I never watch it. And I'm worried that this is gonna have that kind of vibe. But I don't know, we'll see. I know that Casey said that she thinks I'm gonna like the ending, and also Brittany from Brittany and Books, she, I think, really enjoyed it. And I also was watching her sprints with Alyssa on Friday. They were doing sprints for this book. While I was watching them, first of all, I did watch the last like half hour of The Holiday. It was on TV. What was I supposed to do? Just scroll by it? No, I had to put it on. But during those sprints, both Alyssa and Brittany seemed to be really enjoying it. And I think Brittany tweeted that she finished it and she really liked it. So I'm hoping that I will like it as well at the end. Also during those sprints, Brittany made me realize that there is a reference to the Once Upon a Con series in this book. And I remember like reading that reference and being like, I feel like I know what this is, but I just kind of kept reading. And then when Brittany pointed out, I was like, oh, that's why I recognize this. So that was kind of cool. It was like so subtle that even someone who read her other series like didn't even pick up on it right away. So I really like when authors do that. They leave like little hints of things from their other books in books, but it's like so subtle that you almost miss it. I just really like that. So yeah, we'll see how I feel about this at the end. Right now I'm a little nervous that it's gonna just make me sad, but it's good so far. I'm having a good time. I'm definitely not like obsessed with it, but I'm enjoying it. I also read a few more short stories in Gleanings. I think I've read the first 4. Yeah, I've read 4. So I've had kind of a mixed experience with this. I think there's really only been one that I've really enjoyed. There's only been one so far where we've been in like the perspective of a character that we see in the original series, and that's the one that I enjoyed. But the thing is that this world is so interesting, so even when there's short stories that I don't necessarily love the actual story, it's still interesting to see bits of this world and things that happened like outside of the kind of main series and things that were going on in other places. If you don't know what this series is really about, it's this dystopian world where people can't die. If they get themselves like deadish, they can just be revived. And so then there are these people that are sides who go around and glean people because they have to kind of keep the population in check. If no one's dying, then there needs to be some kind of population control. It's kind of intense. There's a lot of like interesting discussions and perspectives in this series, which I think is why even the short stories I haven't enjoyed. The world is still interesting, but definitely like not having the best time with this so far. I've really only liked one, so hopefully it gets better as we continue on. But yeah, I've at least made some progress in that, so very happy about that. And then I did start my reread of Gilded by Marissa Meyer. I'm listening to this on audiobook, and I think I'm like 24% of the way through. Yeah, it says I'm 24% of the way through, and I'm on chapter 14, which is page 117. So making good progress there as well. I'm interested to see if my rating changes after I do a reread of this, because I did give this a very high rating after I finished it the first time. But then when I think about it in comparison to all of her other books, it's definitely pretty low on the ranking for me. So I don't know if I'm gonna like give it as high of a rating the second time around, but I don't think I'll give it less than a 4. I still am enjoying it. I think having it as an audiobook is actually helpful because this book and this story itself is pretty slow. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like the actual like story itself is just a very slow story. And I feel like having the audiobook is nice because I can kind of get through it a little bit faster. It did feel like when I read this book last year, it took a while to get to the point that I'm at now, but I'm already at that point in the audiobook. Like it didn't take me as long to get there. And that's why we love audiobooks. Audiobooks are so helpful. So yeah, the audiobook is definitely helping, I think, with the pacing a bit. But yeah, we'll see what I end up thinking about this on my reread. I still think, like, I'm still enjoying it. Like, I don't think my rating is going to change that drastically, but I'm interested to see if it does change. But I'm also not counting this for the trick-or-treat-a-thon, so I'm going to try and get through it quickly so that I can focus on the other things on my trick-or-treat-a-thon TBR, because we only have 1 week left of October, so definitely need to get reading. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to chat with you before I ended this vlog. Just, you know, Halloween movies, Midnights, books I've read. What else could you want from me? But yeah, we're now down to the final week of October, the final week of the readathon, and I still have a good amount of prompts to complete. So fingers crossed I can get through my TBR. Wish me luck. But I think that that is going to be it for this week's vlog. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.